of those ones where the first shot of the movie is the last shot of the movie. So the question in this movie isn't how it's going to all end up, because you're told right away. The question is why everyone in this movie is warned over and over and over and just keeps going to that final destination anyway. Myself included. By the end, I'm going to tell you whether this 52 minutes is right for you. Should you watch it? That's the aim of all of these. And normally I go spoiler free, but in this case, because the spoilers ended right away and because absolutely nothing that happens is a surprise in this movie, you can make your own guesses on whether that's good or bad. I'm going to go into detail on this one because it needs to happen. And there's a story. There's an story as to why I'm even talking about this movie in the first place. Other than the fact that, of course, I'm reviewing every found footage movie in all of creation. So real quick, hi, I'm CJ. I am your movie god for the Found Footage broadcast. And if you've subscribed, you're already a member of the Cult of the Movie God. So welcome, my fellow found footage fanatic. Hit the button below, and you know the one. And roll the intro. Here we go. Today we're doing The Devil's Door. The Devil's Door. This was a viewer suggestion. I was really excited about it, but I'm not going to out them because, well, I'll explain in a second. See, the thing is, I'm watching this movie and I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. Recommended it as this like fantastic, phenomenal, you gotta see it movie. And I'm a couple minutes in and I'm like, I don't get it. I had to take a break. Came back, okay, watched a few more minutes of it. I'm sure it gets better. There's something wrong. And I get up, I pace around, I go do something else. Before the midpoint, I have taken 3 breaks. I went and did laundry. I hate doing laundry, but I needed something else. And eventually I'm like, okay, he's pranking me. That this guy has got to be screwing with my head. And so I Google the movie again just to see what the other ratings are. I mean, how good could it possibly be? And then it just dawns on me, he didn't suggest The Devil's Door. He suggested The Devil's Door Way. And that trailer, that looks phenomenal. And this looks, well, like what it is. A micro budget by a first-time director. And, you know, here's the thing. They're trying their hearts out. They're really putting it all on the line here with The Devil's Door. They're really giving it their fair shot. And I am not going to be mean about it, but at the same time, well, I mean, okay, let me introduce you to the characters. Here's our plucky reporter.
Way too excited.
And you're not? That's what I thought.
And, you know, this person, do they look like They look like a college student, right? I mean, like, it's not just me, right? Like, this does not look like someone you would get on the news. I don't know. But that's just visual. I don't want to criticize. But here, okay, here's her boyfriend, also the cameraman.
It's a great story if it works out. Let's see what happens.
So if you're thinking like every line lands like a hostage video, it's because these lines just... it's not the actor's fault, man. They're doing their best with what they're given. But yeah, man, every line, it's like this.
We do good.
Okay, all right. But I decided to watch it for a reason, right? Well, there is a great premise. See, they go out into the desert to meet this coyote. It's a name for a guy who helps smuggle people across the border. And he wants to confess. He wants to get some stuff off his chest. This is his last job before retirement. And as we all know, everything always goes perfect when a character says that, right? What could possibly go wrong? So they walk through the desert and like, to their credit, they are on location. They take advantage of the landscape. They feature the landscape so much that the characters are barely in frame. But hey, you know, whatever. Beautiful desert. Nice nighttime shots. Now, I need to talk about something very important. I think that, I don't know, the audio editing in this movie is a phenomena in and of itself. Now, I am personally not a fan of non-diegetic sound in a movie. Non-diegetic is our fancy, snobby way of saying that there's sound in this movie that could not have been picked up by a microphone on the scene. For instance, say you're walking through the desert and your camera lands on a skull. Is that what happens when you see something? You hear, yeah, all right, well, maybe in your life, okay. But I'm pretty sure that the only music you hear in your life is the music you play on your earphones. You don't have this
Are you kidding me?
this music that's so freaking loud you can't hear anyone's talking. I'm just picturing the audio engineer and someone walks in like, hey there, Jasper, how's it going down there? What? You really got to play the music that loud? I mean, you can't hear it if I don't turn it up like that. Yeah, but you can't hear what anybody's saying. Like their voices are really, that's what everyone's voice sounds like all the time. What are you talking about? That is pretty much a faithful recreation. I'm positive of what happened in the editing bay. But I talked to you about these warnings that everyone gets, and it just happens over and over. I think it starts with, it starts when I realize I'm on the wrong movie. I walk away 3 times and decide to stick to the end. So the warnings start adding up before they even get to this door. I mean, there's the fact that the reporter won't tell her boss what they're actually doing because he might say no. Well, that's a sign. I mean, if your boss might say no, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And then they meet the guy and he needs to put hoods over their heads and have them under a blanket while he drives out to the middle of nowhere, and they have to give up their cell phones. These are not good signs, guys. This is not going your way. The fact that he didn't, in fact, kidnap you after all of that was kind of a miracle. But then they're walking out in the desert and, oh, look.
This is all wrong. What is this?
Not enough of a warning for these people. They just keep going. And then eventually they find this gate that's built into the rock. And apparently there's like a mile-long tunnel. Would have been neat to see that mile-long tunnel, but we're doing in micro-budget land. We can't afford that. So the gate looks scary, but that's not enough of a warning. So then we're sitting by this mangled gate, and the coyote starts, talking his heart out about how he feels so bad about everything he's done, and he's turning over a new leaf. From this day forward, he's going to be a new man. I am sorry, but movie logic screams this man is a dead man. Then finally, someone comes in from the other side of the gate, and after a tense exchange, he lets her through, and her boyfriend is not coming through. And she's panicked, she's worried about him, but there's something wrong, and she is scared. That's a sign, but no one gets away from the gate. It's all fine. Nothing bad could possibly happen. So something terrible happens, and they run for it. And then they see that this woman that they let out of the thing has injuries, and then she shows signs of being all an evil did. And they're like, oh, we have to help her.
Are you not listening? We have to go!
Marion, please, we have to.
Well, no, why do you should go. You should go. You're being hunted. You should. And then they're hunted more. And they're hunted more. And it's a very confusing chase scene where it doesn't matter which direction they run. The bad guys are right directly in front of them. And eventually they end up at the gate. And then, oh yeah, okay, so leading back up to that final scene that you already saw. This kills me. Somehow, the reporter girl maneuvers all the bad guys into the tunnel. I don't know how this worked out, but it worked out. And so she gets out of the tunnel, and there's a chain, there's a lock. Screw that noise. She just holds the gate shut with her ankle. And they reach through the bars. Who'd have thought that coming? Anyway, so now she's injured, and it's finally gotten through her skull. I should leave. All right. I mean, I've been thinking that for myself this whole time, but she's taking the advice. Good for her. And so she does the only logical thing. She stays by the gate, picks up a camera, and talks at length about how terrible everything is and how she's going to get out of there because her life is in mortal danger. And she sits there until someone comes out and drags her into the tunnel. Okay. Listen, this is far from the worst movie I'm going to be covering on this channel. I'm just realizing now what I've got myself into. Some of the things I saw last year that I'm going to have to go over again. This is Citizen Kane. This is like Blair Witch. This is perfection compared to some of the things that are coming by. But still, maybe it's not for you. Let's break it down. Should you watch it? I think it's time to get into those details. Let's talk about who it's for, actually, because there is an audience. If you're looking at making your own found footage movie, this is a really, really good movie to watch. In part because you're going to see how honest, good intentions don't always work out, and you're going to sort of use it as a lesson, but also because genuinely they did leverage the scenery, they did leverage the few actors they had, and they made the best with what they had to work with. They made a movie. That's something more than I can say. That's something more than most of us can say. This is worth a watch for budding filmmakers, absolutely, because you can get a lot out of it, both on the lessons to run with and mistakes to avoid. The kind of honest mistake that you would make if you hadn't seen this and thought, oh, right, I remember that. So, absolutely worthy, and also legit. There was a sincerity here, and that counts for a lot. I find myself kind of giggling along with movies like this even when things go wrong, especially on some of the line deliveries or the awkward shot setups. I find myself just laughing because I know they're laughing. I know they're watching this back and going oh my God, but they had a great time. So there's kind of a fun sort of friendly watch along. You can imagine being the people who put all this together or being part of that crew and kind of being proud of oh yeah, that's our little project. We had fun. And yeah, it's not perfect, but nothing is. I mean, it's a zero budget movie. What do you want? If you need suspense, if you need the action to make sense, if you need the plot to make sense, if you need the script to sound natural, these are things that aren't going to be here. Really good visual effects. I'm sorry, I got to come back to that. I just realized I kind of skipped over it. The blood's great. What little gore there is great. The skull looked real. That stuff's neat. There are good visual elements, and actually, I have to commend whoever put that gate together. It looks really cool. Outside of that, though, this might drive you nuts. It's not a polished piece of work. So if you need a polished piece of work, this is one to skip. And one last thing, I should have known better. I watched it anyway. I should have known better when I started this, reviewing every found footage movie in existence challenge, right? But here's the thing. Knowing better's never stopped anybody. I mean, honestly, I can count on one hand the number of times knowing better stopped me in life. Sometimes you just go with your gut. In fact, I would say 95% of the time you go with your gut. And that includes filling out a test. I faked my way through school, guys, and I don't know how I made it at the other end, but there it is. But you know what? I skipped it last time, and I'm going to do it this time. This guy deserves to be inducted into a holy order. So I hereby induct thee into the sacred order of the open gate. Go now and walk through it. Long may you leave. And as always, like, sub, super thanks, join, comment, hype. Every little click is a sin scrubbed off your soul. Time to get pure, guys. Get clicking. If you really want to ascend, join the Patreon. That's where I'm putting all the behind-the-scenes stuff, including access to the full spreadsheet of every movie I'm about to review and every movie I already have. And a lot of stuff about how I'm in spreadsheet hell right now, trying to figure out how to find some of these. There are some obscure titles out there. So anyway, I'm covering all that stuff on the Patreon. Come on by, I'd really appreciate it. And next up, I'm going to do something I saw on the found footage subreddit. I'm kind of going out of order. I had a whole scheme for what I was going to do, but this one's kind of new. It's called I Hate Found Footage. It has puppets in it. How does that work? I don't know. I've got to find out. And then there is a movie that I have been desperate to review I'm desperate to even watch for a long time, but I couldn't find an English translation or one that had proper subtitles. And it looks so good, but I'm not even going to cover the title right now. I'm going to keep that on lock. Watch for this next week or the week after, or I'm moving on Monday, so life is chaotic. But I'm trying to step up to at least 2 times a week soon. If you got to the end, you're one of the real ones. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. Bye-bye.